That's not a call. I just want to work out some person. Okay, we'll begin the Planning Committee meeting of Akron City Council. I don't believe we have anything that's up for a public hearing at this time. Correct, Mr. Antonucci?
That's correct.
Very good. In terms of the list of legislation, we do have some items that will be up for public hearing next week, I believe, as well as the following week. Let me look here.
Yes.
The South Main Street, this is Electronic Message Center. This is item number 9, which is authorizing conditional use to install electronic message center sign at 328 South Main Street, declaring an emergency. Mr. Antonucci, was this a adverse report or?
This was a recommendation for time, was referred 2 weeks ago.
Right. I know the ward council person does not, wants us to go ahead and vote on this and to actually turn it down. Has some concerns, and I understand those are not met. So, is there any questions or comments about that?
What is it in?
Margot Somerville's. I spoke to her this morning. She wants to see it turned down, yes.
I thought they were working with the, I know. You want to share with us? I thought you met with them and they were.
And actually, while we were there,
You want to put your mic on?
Councilwoman Somerville and I met with them. They were, when we were there were people from the fire department and police department. They let us know that they had a lot of other issues with permits.
Right.
We recommended that they look for an alternative design to their sign. They indicated some willingness to do so, but there was also other difficulties because they'd already had bought a sign without getting our approval. And so I guess the latest is that Mrs. Somerville feels, according to Mr. Fusco, feels that we should just turn it down. I think that's the best way of representing it. You talked with her this morning?
Yes, I talked to the ward council person, and she said that she wanted it to be turned down.
Has anyone spoken with the petitioner?
I haven't since that first meeting, but
I don't know.
Wow. Could we go that route as well?
You're welcome to talk to that petitioner if you'd like, and I don't know if the ward council person has or not. It sounds like they had a meeting.
Yeah,
it sounds like they had a meeting.
Yeah, when I spoke with Margot last week, a week before last, she indicated that there was no rush in doing this because there were so many other things that they needed to address. When they were here, I was under the impression they were ready to go with the sign, but it sounds like there were so many fire code violations that they need to address as well. So I'm just wondering if we could delay it to give them time to address it.
I'm just reporting on what the ward council person, the issue that we spoke about this morning, and the ward council person wanted to see this turned down.
Okay, could you do time until we get a chance to talk with Marco about?
If that's a recommendation, is there a second?
second.
All those in favor of time signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The next item is 10 is the petition for that conditional use that we just took time on. Number 11 is conditional use to construct a commercial building and parking lot on the east side of Talbot Avenue, south of McKinley, and declaring an emergency. This is the a commercial building on South Arlington Street as well as Talbot Avenue. I know the ward council person would like to see this one voted on too, short of any questions or concerns from any of the committee members.
I've not talked with the council person. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I've not spoken with the council person today, but there was some, there were requests that was made before. There was going to be a review of the alley to vacate that.
Right.
And I asked some time ago
Right.
when were we going to do that? Because I would certainly like to be involved in that.
Yeah, so we did check with utilities. We took a look at the utilities. There would need to be a utility easement retained through that alley because there are private utilities. There's electric and gas through that alley. It would make it very difficult, if not impossible, to build over that alley. So that's the report is that there would need to be a utilities easement through there. So that wouldn't really help the situation in terms of maybe moving the building closer, the addition closer to his building, which was what we were looking at.
And
So
my recommendation would therefore be not to vacate that alley,
What,
for what Mike said.
help me understand what that means about the utilities.
Well, it means that if you have utilities that are running through an easement, through an alley,
Okay.
and you can't build over that because for maintenance reasons, that those, there's an easement with Ohio Edison, there's an easement with Dominion East Ohio Gas. You cannot build over that.
And they can't
Over that.
move the utilities?
For cost.
Not with a huge amount of cost,
I mean, not
Sure they
at all
could.
expensive.
potentially with a huge amount of cost and time.
So he's going to build his new facility right across the street from the owners of the property on Talbot?
The report that we presented, yes, that's where the building would go.
Well, okay, I'm not comfortable with that. Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Is there a recommendation for a favorable report? I'll make a recommendation.
Could we hear from the ward council, please?
Sure.
Thank you. I still am in favor of this build. Again, I can't allow one family on our entire street to dictate us making jobs in the community for a business that's been there since 1974. Everything they've been required to do, they've done it. They were asked to redesign some things, and they did that. They brought in architects to reshape the way the building would be built and the setback of it. The alley would still be used for them to drive the trucks down. They wouldn't be going around on Talbot, as what was said by one of the petitioners. They would always be going down Minority Place. And I know they brought up the thing about Eandacy, but I wanted to be known for the record that Eandacy is in support of this build. I've spoken with Kyle Julian and Grady Appleton, and they are very supportive of Raj and All Around Body Shop in this build. And the future hope is that they will acquire the apartment building as well, but I am in favor of it, and I have been since the beginning. I just can't go based off of one family on the street when I have a street full of people and no one else has raised an objection. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Ms. Amobian.
I certainly respect the wishes of the councilwoman, and I can appreciate what she's saying. But let me make sure I understand. Now, when I was there, he pointed out that these big cabs that they use that are currently parked behind this church are going to be parked across the street from these families that are complaining?
They will be parked in that area. It is fenced off and landscaped, but yeah, they will be parked on that site.
And you're saying there will be no trucks, those cabs would not be driven on Talbot, they always come through the alley?
That's correct. That's where their access showed through the alley.
Only through the alley.
That's right.
And the shrubbery or whatever the improvements that it's going to kind of hide the trucks eventually as they grow?
Right. They moved the fence and landscaping, the fence line back 15 feet off of Talbot. So it's further off of Talbot Avenue, and that'll
And
be
closer to the
landscaped with
alley.
and fenced, solid fencing, closer to the alley. That's correct.
So what about this additional building they're talking about, and where is that going to go?
Well, that's the building that we had originally presented that was shown. So there's one building that actually moved further away. It actually got it a little bit smaller than what was originally proposed to respect the neighborhood, basically moved that back 15 feet as well.
Has this plan been presented to the families that have come down here
Yeah, they have seen the plans,
and they still object to it?
yes.
These plans have changed since we've been talking about
They
this?
have not.
These are the same plans you presented originally?
Same plans, right.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions or comments? Is there a recommendation?
I recommend approval based on the ward councilperson as well as the civic organization that's supporting this.
Is there a second? All those in favor of a favorable report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Sorry? Abstain? Okay. There's an abstention, Mr. Clerk.
Okay.
Therefore, assuming that that is voted upon this evening, 12 will be filed. And for the balance, I'm going to recommend that we take time and move on to the new list of legislation. 4 is an ordinance approving the sale of vacant city-owned property pursuant to the city's Lot for Little program in order to facilitate the productive reuse of the property and in the furtherance of Mayor Horrigan's objectives of activating underutilized spaces for the benefit of the community.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. This would be a couple lots in our Lot for a Little program. They would be side yard expansions.
Very good. Is there a rush on this?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there questions or comments from anyone? Questions or comments? Consent agenda okay then?
That'd be fine.
Is there a recommendation for consent? Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
5 is an ordinance approving the sale of various owned properties to JAR Enterprises, Ohio.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, the city is the owner of 17 parcels of vacant land located east of Cuyahoga Street along both the north and south sides of an undeveloped portion of Plymouth Avenue. All the parcels combined total approximately 2.3 acres. James Robinson, who's doing business as JAR Enterprises, is requesting purchase of those 17 parcels of vacant city-owned land to create and grow an eco-friendly wood lot. The proposal from the purchaser is to clean up the property by removing any trash from the site, as well as dead and diseased trees, and would plant new trees for future harvesting in their place. The sale price for the land is $5,708.40, which is the 5 cents a square foot price. The land's never been developed and has always remained as open space. The city's owned the parcels for over 15 years without any interest in development. The sale would divest the city of the land, which no longer would have to maintain it, and would return the property to the tax rolls.
Very good. Good report, Mr. Antonucci. Is there any questions or comments? Mr. Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not familiar where this is, but are we selling this on the condition that it be used for harvesting? It can't be developed?
That's right. It's basically open space. I believe he has a period of time in which to plant the trees. Mr. Westcott might be able to.
Yes, he has basically for next 5 years, he has that time. So at that point, if it doesn't work out for him, then he has a choice to sell it or whatever he wants to do with the property at that point.
Well, that's my concern. When you say whatever, this area, is this in residential area or is it commercial area? Yes.
Residential street, but very little residential on that street. It's kind of a dead-end street off of Cuyahoga Street.
How large is that? How many acres?
2.3.
And is that 5,000? The reason why I'm asking this question is that in line with what we would sell that for, coming in, keeping everything in perspective with the 100% 15-year tax abatement program? I'd hate to give away this property for $5,000 and then the taxes on that property be based on $5,000 after it's developed. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think some of the considerations that we took into account is it is a small business, it's economic development purposes, and I believe it is a minority-owned business, so we felt like the conditions warranted having a a smaller sales price for the opportunity that would be related.
I'm fine with all of that. That's not, but if it doesn't work, to turn around and sell it, and then, I don't know how many, if that was divided up into parcels, like, I don't know, the way this looks on here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if those 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, not counting the 2 big ones, I don't know if those parcels equate to what someone could build a house on. If they did, do they equate to that?
I mean, you could, I mean, if you put them all together, I mean, but...
Well, no, I mean, but the 13 individually could not be, that wouldn't equate to 13 individual parcels that could, a home could be built on.
It's possible. I have to go back and if I look at I can look at the sizes, but I think you could build on each of those lots. And it is a wooded lot.
Okay.
So there's a lot of construction, you know, pre-construction costs and things that have taken place, has to take place also.
And if I recall, and Abe can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think part of this is a paper street, which means there's street right-of-way, but there's not actual pavement, so I believe most of the lots actually don't front on an actual street, so that would mean prior to building, you would have to actually extend the street further, and so I don't think it would be as simple as just turning them around and building houses, right?
If I could, Mr. Segedy, more importantly, there's no utilities.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's all good to know. I mean, if my concern isn't understood, in case we have others that come through, the only thing I was going to ask is that there be a condition that if it wasn't utilized for the purpose that it was said to be utilized for, then that it would, the purchase price would be renegotiated based on the actual value of the land if a developer was going in there to build homes on it. Because the fact that we're giving away 15 years, 100% tax abatement could be again, I'm not familiar with that area. It's important to know. That's an important part, knowing that the utilities don't extend that way. But I'd hate to see us giving away an asset like that if it could be developed. I mean, because that's 13 parcels, not counting the large parcel in the back and the large parcel on the side. So that's my only concern.
What do you want to do?
Oh, again, I don't want to hold it up, but I don't know if the planning department feels comfortable that this is going to go through the way it's said, then we can go through. But for future purposes, when something comes through, I'd like for us to have a condition to where if it's not utilized the way it's, the person says they're going to utilize it, that we keep in mind what a parcel like that would go through if a developer said, hey, I'm going to come in and I'm going to put what amounts to 20 homes on there for $5,000. You know, 20 homes for $5,000 probably cost is probably worth maybe doing the other improvements. You know, I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit more research, but that's what my concern was. Don't want to. I think it's great that someone wants to harvest the land, take it off our tax rolls, but if it didn't work, what I'd hate to see is somebody get a lot where you could develop 20 homes for $5,000. That's my only concern.
Gotcha. Consent agenda okay on this?
Consent's fine.
Okay. Any other
Motion for
questions?
consent?
Motion for consent. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And now we have, I believe it's 6, which is authorizing the purchase of 282 and a half and a vacant lot on Kelly Avenue for the CSO Rack 3.
Thank you. Yes, this will be a purchase of a vacant house and a vacant lot. It'll be needed for the CSO Rack 3 Kelly Green project. There'll be a natural water feature there. This is a negotiated value.
How large is this parcel?
I think it's 2 50-foot lots.
Gotcha. With a house?
Yes.
Okay. Questions? Is there consent okay?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Motion for consent?
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, also like to entertain a motion that we accept the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. Thank you. What's that? No, that's the only part of consent. Okay. Thanks.
No, I'm getting out. Yeah, definitely. Please.